What's up, guys? I'm Matt.
And I'm Sandy, and welcome to
Ministry in the Mess. All right, we are here. It is episode 7, Ministry in the Mess podcast. I'm super excited, as I am with every episode, but this one in particular I'm pretty excited about because it's all about you. Praising you for the incredible job that you have done in this year of breastfeeding, which is what we're going to talk about today. But first, how's your week been?
It's been good.
Yeah?
No, uneventful.
Yeah. We've got an exciting birthday planned for Hazel tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a busy weekend, and then Halloween stuff starts, so...
Yeah, tomorrow we're planning on going to the Newport Aquarium for Hazel for her birthday, which today's Friday. As we're recording this, tomorrow's Saturday, Hazel's birthday, the 19th.
So when you guys listen to this, she will be 1 year old.
Yeah, we're super...
1 year old.
We're super happy. She's been a blessing. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about breastfeeding for a year. So not safe for work. I don't know. We're not... Nipple is going to come up once or twice, those kind of things. But we're going to try to...
If you're not comfortable listening about breasts and breastfeeding, don't listen.
Yeah, we're going to kind of shy away from certain things, but here we go. I'd like to start with the Word, God's Word. We're going to start in James 1 about perseverance. This is James 1, verse 12. Blessed is a man who perseveres under trial. For once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. I think that's super fitting for what we're going to talk about today for your 1 year goal of breastfeeding. You've persevered through that. And yeah, so let's start with what gave you this idea for 1 year breastfeeding.
That's just what most babies do. Like, they usually take a milk or formula for a year before you start thinking about weaning them. It's the most important time for them to have breast milk or formula. Food before 1 is just for fun. Yeah.
I love that. That's great. So yeah, I've got some cool questions for Sandy throughout this episode. I'm going to be kind of grilling her on her experience, the reality of breastfeeding and those kind of things before birth and during birth and those kind of things. But we'll start. How did you prepare to start breastfeeding?
I prepared a lot. I took a breastfeeding class. I had... So with Hazel, my second child, I had some friends and some people I knew that had breastfed recently. So talking to them, watched a lot of videos, just did a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we were preparing that you were having me watch a lot of videos, kind of getting an understanding of what all was going to happen. But yeah. From the past into now, you've made it a year, so that's incredible. Why was breastfeeding important to you? What influenced your decision for a year? Yeah, I think you just talked about that.
I did, but not the breastfeeding. Why was it important to you? It was important to me because I couldn't do it with Everett. Had Everett in 2020. Right at the height of COVID, we couldn't take a birthing class for our first child, to know what birth was going to be like. I couldn't take a breastfeeding class. Like, there was no classes. We did get to tour the hospital, but that was it. There was no classes being held for new parents. There was no lactation consultants, seeing people in person. It was all, over, I think, Zoom, like over phone and stuff like that. And I just didn't have a lot of that provided help. Breastfeeding is not really prevalent in our families, I feel like.
Yeah.
So like my mom only breastfed me for 8 weeks, and then she only breastfed my brother for 2 weeks, and then she didn't breastfeed my second brother. So not a whole lot of experience. I don't think that your mom did.
Right.
And like I said, we were quarantined. We couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
So it was just, I didn't have that help. And so when he was like, didn't have a good latch, and I didn't even know what that meant back then. We were like, it was like me and him were like fighting each other every time I tried to put him on, every time he was hungry. And then I would start crying and just being frustrated, and that would just make him more frustrated. And it was just really bad. And it really was not a good experience. So we ended up formula feeding him, which he did great with. Everything was great. But formula is very expensive also. Yeah. And I mean, I remember back in those days trying to scrounge up enough money to buy him formula, because it was expensive and it's not something we could go without. Yeah. And so, my first experience was so bad that, because I wanted to breastfeed, and I think that I know that breast milk has so many benefits, and that's how God designed our body to be able to sustain our children's lives in this way. And so that's why it was important to me. So I had a very much better experience this time around.
Yeah. And we don't, with this topic on breastfeeding, we don't want to shame. We're not trying to shame anyone who formula fed or couldn't breastfeed or anything like that. We formula fed
our first child, and it was, you got to help, and it was not as much mental load on me. And there's pros and cons to both sides. So
absolutely. So, and my next question goes into like concerns or fears that you had before starting them. Were you worried about, and I know it's different for a woman giving birth, like there's a lot of you that is visible to people. Or were you
during birth? Yeah.
How did you, like, with that? But like, did you have any other concerns or fears or anxieties before breastfeeding? Did you?
When you're in the moment of birth, you don't care about who's coming. I mean, with Everett, I had like 20 or 25 students that came in and watched me give birth and watched me get stitched up. So, I mean, I was on display for everybody.
Right.
And then, and like, you can't really sit there. I don't know. Modesty is like not in your brain at all at that point. Mm. And then with Hazel, it was I feel like it was a little bit more intimate. I mean, when I was actually pushing, there was like 4 or 5 nurses in there. Yeah. And the midwife. Actually, because there was my 2 nurses, the midwife, and then the like nursery nurse, right?
I do believe that is correct.
Oh, no, and then they have like the techs. So, like 5 or 6. Yeah. But still not nearly as much as I had with Everett. Yeah.
It was funny with Everett because they were like, do you care if we have these people are learning?
I've always been okay with that. Like any doctor's appointments I have where they ask if it's okay if a student comes in, like, yeah, I want them to learn. Yeah. And the only way that they can learn is to see it and experience it. Yeah. But yeah, that stuff just goes out the window. Like, you're not worried about that. Plus, it's their job. They see these things all day, every day. Mm-hmm. So no concerns about like being on display, I guess, as you can say. Yeah. But definitely concerns about breastfeeding. I obviously was afraid of it going the same way that it did with Everett, or me not being able to produce enough.
Yeah, that's what I was interested about.
Yeah, because with Everett, I tried to pump. I tried to go to exclusively pumping whenever he wouldn't latch well. And I would only get like an ounce. But like I didn't know anything. So I didn't know that just an ounce is not, like, at 4 days old is good. Like, it's not bad. Like, you have to build up that supply by supply and demand. That's literally what breastfeeding is supply and demand. You know, the more that you nurse or the more that you pump, the more that your body is going to tell your body to make more milk.
And even with that, like what you talked about, your breastfeeding class was Zoom, or it was online.
No,
it wasn't?
No, remember I went to it.
Oh, that's right. Sorry. But like you didn't,
I went by myself.
You couldn't have had a lactation consultant, or could you have?
Beforehand?
Yeah.
With Hazel?
2020.
Oh, no. And in 2020, they didn't even have any. They didn't have any in-person breastfeeding classes. So I thought you were talking about the one with Hazel.
Yeah, baby number one. You didn't have as many opportunities for learning.
Yeah, like there was.
You didn't have friends that.
Yeah, I didn't.
At the
none
time.
of my friends had their babies yet. Well, my friend, she didn't have her baby yet, so she didn't know. And we weren't even really as close as we are now with when we had our first baby. So it was. I think by the time that she had her baby, I had already stopped breastfeeding, so I wasn't really interested in talking about it, because it is one of my biggest regret. It is probably my biggest regret in life, is that I didn't keep going and keep trying. But COVID ruined it.
Right.
I blame COVID.
Yeah.
I had no professional help. It's just, and you were so scared in those days because of what the media was telling you.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't even wanted someone to come to my house, or because I was so scared of getting my newborn baby with COVID.
Yeah.
And, our family didn't meet him for so long. I think
2
your
months.
mom and my mom met him.
Yeah.
And that was it.
2 days,
Everybody else
a
came
day.
to our window and saw our baby.
Yeah.
It sucked. So, but yeah, I had concerns that it would go the same way. And
right. So I'm going to transition here talking about your milestone and your mindset with your milestone. So you made
I
this.
didn't answer how I addressed them. I'm sorry.
Please.
I just went into this I was much more educated, like I said, and I was trying not to put too much pressure on myself, because I know that was one of the biggest things in the first go round, was I felt all this pressure. I had so much frustration, anxiety, and it just none of that doesn't really bode well for success in any capacity.
Yeah.
So this time I just tried to be calm and just know that this is what God made my body to do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to reach out for help if I need it, and everything. And just try to, every time that I would latch her on, I would just be very calm and just
talk to her
through it, and try to be not try to force it on her, and just try to be very slow and figure it out together.
Yeah. Okay. So you made this year milestone. How were you feeling about your goal? Were you confident that you could reach it? Were you anxious? Or I knew you talked about a lot of how you felt before. So were you pretty confident, or were you worried that it was going to just stop? It wasn't going to be able to happen?
I was worried beforehand. When I started doing it, I was more confident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was definitely, I had formula ready to go. We packed the ready-made formula in our diaper, in our hospital bag, just in case. So yeah, I was definitely anxious that it just wasn't meant for me or whatever. But as time went on, I was more confident in it, for sure.
Good. I agree. So this first batch of questions here before we take a break. What role do you think breastfeeding would play in Hazel's health and development? How did you see it impacting her early months? I know you have talked a lot about the benefits of breast milk.
Yes. But I also went through a hard time when she was really little, because she got sick a lot. She was born in October, so right at the height of RSV flu season, especially for babies, and her having no immune system. She was sick at 4 weeks old, and then had RSV at 8 weeks old, and it just felt like she was sick every month for a while. And so I got really discouraged a little bit, and was just thinking that my breast milk wasn't good enough. It wasn't doing what it was supposed to do, because I always heard that breastfed babies don't get sick. So yeah, it was hard for a little bit, thinking that I wasn't enough, or my breast milk wasn't good enough, or something like that. But I do fully believe now that after doing research and looking back on it, because we went to the ER like 4 times before she was like 4 months old. And looking back on it, I fully believe that breast milk is what kept her from being hospitalized. Like, we went to the ER, but we were never admitted. We were always sent home. The most they ever did was suction.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. We never had to have a steroid. We never had to have any, like, I mean, we did breathing treatments. But that was like for the pediatrician.
Yeah.
Had ordered for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fully believe that's what kept her from being admitted into the hospital, because she had RC at 8 weeks old. She was so small.
Yeah. And just the way God has designed a woman's body and our bodies to accept that you can provide life with your body is just all God. It's just so good.
Yeah, I don't really understand how people can think there's not a God, but to know that only women can birth a baby, can carry a pregnancy, birth a baby, and sustain life.
Right. All by yourself.
Yeah. And how is that not a divine creator?
And physically, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm amazed by you. I'm really proud of you for making it this far. I'm excited to see what happens next. I'm excited for Hazel to... I'm not excited for her to wean off you, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but I'm just proud of you. I'm just so happy for you to have been able to do this. Yeah, you're amazing.
I'd love to give some advice before we move on.
Please.
For like the early stages, because this is talking about the early stages.
Yeah.
To trust your body, to talk to a lactation consultant and not just a pediatrician, because pediatricians are not very educated in breastfeeding. They don't get a full education on breastfeeding, I feel like. And so I mean, it's very, I don't know any baby who has not lost weight when they come out of the hospital. Like, that is so normal. I don't know any baby who hasn't lost weight, because when a baby first comes out, they are swollen. So they're good. They lose weight. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think so many pediatricians are like, well, your baby's lost weight, you need to do formula. You need to do formula. It is very, very normal for your milk not to come in until day 4 or day 5. Yeah. Your baby is still getting colostrum, which is everything they need. Their stomachs at a newborn age is like the size of a marble. Like, it's not like they can sit here as a newborn and eat 4 ounces of milk, 4 ounces of formula. It's not going to happen. And pediatricians push formula so much. And it makes me so angry that they will scare new young moms into thinking that their baby is starving, and they're not.
Yeah.
Our pediatrician tried to force formula on me, and Hazel, and I, of course, was scared because I had never breastfed before. Yeah. And they were telling me that she was underweight and all this stuff, or they told me that she had lost 10% of her weight, and they were like telling me, like, after 10% they're at risk for failure to thrive, and like all these like super scary words that you're throwing at me.
Yeah.
And of course, so then I tried the formula, and Hazel hated it. She did not take the formula. She would not take it. And so I just kept nursing her. And guess what? My milk was in.
Yeah.
Producing 1 ounce when your milk first comes in is normal.
Yeah.
I just get so angry with pediatricians because they need to have better education on breastfeeding. Like,
it's been everywhere we've gone. In
every single doctor asks about the baby. How many ounces is she getting? I don't know. Right. Like, it's not there. Usually, and it's very rare that they even say, is she breastfed or formula fed? Right. Most of the time, they assume formula fed, they assume bottles, and they ask me how many ounces. And then I say, she's exclusively nursed, she doesn't take bottles, so I don't know. Right. And then they're like, oh, well, how often does she eat and stuff like that?
She eats as often as she wants.
Yeah. I don't even go on a schedule. But yeah. And your breast milk changes as your baby gets older. The fat contents, the calorie number goes up, And just because the volume doesn't go up, the quantity doesn't go up, the quality does. It changes with what your baby needs. If your baby needs more calories, your milk will produce more calories.
Yeah.
Even if you still only have produced 4 ounces of milk, it's going to be higher calorie content, higher fat content. A exclusively breastfed baby, only drinking breast milk, should really only have 4 to 5 ounces at a time. Like, they should never they should not have to go up to like 8 ounces of breast milk. And formula, yes.
Why is that?
Because formula doesn't change.
Oh.
So they need more to get fuller as their stomachs grow. But like I said, breast milk changes. The calorie content changes. Your fat content changes. The nutrients and all the things that go into breast milk changes as your baby gets older. I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, thank you for that. That's very helpful for those us that don't know that. Anything else before we take a break?
No. I don't
Okay.
think so.
All right. Well, we're gonna take a quick
We'll
break.
be right back.
We will be right back.
Hey, guys.
It's Matt
And Sandy
from the Ministry in the Mess podcast. We really hope you enjoy today's episode. While we don't have a sponsor just yet, we'd love to take a moment to connect with you. If you're enjoying this podcast, please leave a review or share it with your friends and family. It would really help us out.
You can also join the conversation on our social media pages or check out our YouTube channel for more content on living for Christ in today's world. Your support helps us keep these conversations going. Thanks for being part of our journey. Now back to the show.
And we're back. And we're
You're-
back.
You're going to say that.
Okay, so continuing with the answer to what kind of support were you hoping to have from me and others
So
before?
others, I didn't expect much from others, just an open mind, because I know both of our families didn't have a lot of breastfeeding around them. So I remember telling my mom and my family that I'm going to breastfeed and this is what's going to happen, and I'm not going to hide myself away in a room for however long, 30, 40 minutes. Like, I'm pretty good at covering myself. I don't think that I've ever shown myself to anyone unless they looked down my shirt and that was their fault.
Right.
So I just wanted them to have an open mind and not be judgy.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has been pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been... I agree. I agree. Okay. Did your birth plan include specific intentions regarding breastfeeding immediately after delivery? Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about delivery, if you're comfortable with that.
Sure.
Like, what was your expectations going into the delivery? Did you plan on getting the epidural, getting the laughing gas? I think we've talked a little bit about.
My original, my plan was to go drug free. Yeah, I mean, my birth plan said that I was breastfeeding, that I plan on breastfeeding. I mean, and the hospital that we go to very much pushes breastfeeding, so that was fine. I think I did have that like ready-made formula.
Yeah, we
in our
brought some.
birth just in case, because I wish I would have had it with Everett. But yeah, I did end up getting nitrous oxide, and I barely used it because
it was very scary.
It didn't do anything for me.
It was very scary for me and
Besides
Sandy's
me
mom.
Really lightheaded. That's it.
Yeah.
It didn't take away the pain at all. So, but I did end up going natural, not have any medication, and I screamed like a little girl.
Well,
kidding.
it's a lot
It
of
was
pain.
a war cry.
It was it was a guttural. Yeah, it was loud.
It was like really slow until it wasn't slow, and then it was incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it did include breastfeeding. Okay.
Well, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your very first time actually breastfeeding? How did you feel?
Well, good. I mean, like most, actually, fun fact, most babies when they first come out latch really well because I don't know what it is, but like their natural instinct, like most babies, when they first come out and they get put on the chest, they're already rooting. They can already smell and like get down there to the breast. Yeah, that's what one of the nurses said. She said most babies latch really well the first time. It's like the times after. And I don't really remember why they just latched so well. So yeah, the first time was great. She latched really well. She did great. I mean, obviously she didn't get anything because she got colostrum. Yeah. I felt very accomplished at that point because I had done what I wanted to do, even though I thought I wasn't going to make it. But I had done it, so yeah, it was great.
Yeah. I was very proud of you. That was a incredible experience for me, having no pain, just kind of being there.
But you guys had to see me in a way that you've never seen me. Not even my mom has seen me that way.
Yeah, it was hard for us. It's quadruply hard for you, I'm sure. So, how did you imagine the first few days and weeks would go breastfeeding?
How did I imagine they would go?
Yes.
We'll
talk about reality in a minute.
Like I said, I'd kept my expectations really low. I was afraid that they wouldn't go well, but, and like the first week after you bring a baby home, it's like all blur. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember what it was like. I mean, I do remember. I remember it pretty well. But everything really, really went well, and I just try to keep my anxieties down. And yeah, that's all I got. I imagined that they would go well. I obviously had my fears that maybe they wouldn't, but I imagined that they would.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, that was good. And so feeding in the hospital, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Once we got into our other room, and you we'd already talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, they make you keep like a chart of how long she nursed.
Oh yeah, from each side.
Yeah, I do remember her being very sleepy in the beginning. Like she very much fell asleep at the breast every single time. And that is indicative of a lip tie or tongue tie because they're using so much muscle, so much harder to breastfeed that they get really tired. And her like chin would like, I don't know what to call it. What's that?
Quiver?
Yeah, quiver a lot. And that was also because her muscles were fatigued.
Wow.
So, quiver.
Yeah. And I don't think did we know that she had a tongue tie then? I think we learned recently.
I went to my first lactation appointment probably when she was like 2 weeks old, I think. And that's when I found out.
Yeah. And that was when we questioned. We were like, do we get it fixed? And we still haven't. I don't know. Because it'd be different if I was having a lot of pain, but I really wasn't. I wasn't having. And are you now?
Sometimes. And that's only because, like I said,
she's an animal.
She has 9 teeth and she likes to bite for fun. And then she laughs at me.
She does.
So, yeah. I just decided not to get them fixed because she was gaining weight. She was happy. Yeah. And I wasn't in any pain. So, just felt unnecessary to do.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I will say is it's been hard for me as we transition into the reality and the experience. It's been hard for me the way Hazel responds to me when she wants to eat.
Especially in the middle of the night.
Yeah, when she wakes up in the middle of the night crying, I go over there to comfort her, and she's like, "No, you can't do anything for me." I'm pointing at Mom. Yeah. I want Mom. Yeah. And I apologize that I can't. I know we'll talk a little bit about how much support you receive.
Yeah. We had a few hard nights where she wasn't sleeping, and I was just exhausted, and you would try to help, but
Yeah.
She would just end up screaming with you for 20 minutes until I went in there. And I was like, just give her to me.
Yeah, there's nothing that I could do. Yeah, you're right. There was a time when we had... Everett was in our bed. He wasn't in his own room like he is now. And I would take Hazel into the other room. I'd fall asleep with her in the chair and hold her. Gosh, that was long.
That was when we couldn't put her down. Like, she would fall asleep with us fine, but like putting her into the crib, she literally woke up.
Yeah, because that was, she would, because she was in the bassinet right next to us, right? Or is this always, she didn't start in the bed. She started in the bassinet.
Yes, I am not comfortable sleeping with a newborn baby in my bed. Plus we had Everett in our bed and he sleeps like a crazy person.
He does, like a monkey.
We could not have them both in the bed with us. So she was in the bassinet and then we moved her to her crib when she was bigger.
Mm-hmm.
The hardness was when she was in that other room. Remember those?
Yes, she was in her own room.
She slept much better when she was like little.
Yeah.
Now she sleeps horribly. She's still up every 2 hours.
Yeah, we get, like right now when we're recording the podcast, we get probably an hour to 2 hours of sleep.
I'd say like 2 to 3 hours when I first lay her down. And then,
And then is it a question, I think you've questioned, is it your supply in the middle of the night? Is it?
I think it is because I don't have a very big, what's it called? Storage capacity. So my breasts don't hold a lot of milk. So like between her feedings. And so, like I still produce, but I don't like hold. It's not like I'm holding 10 ounces.
Right.
I'm usually only holding like 4 to 5 from when I was pumping, but I don't pump anymore, so I don't really know. So I think that she's just, it's not like she's getting extra full and able to sleep that long.
Yeah.
Plus, it must just run in our genes because Everett was a horrible sleeper. She's a horrible sleeper.
Yeah. I sleep pretty well. With that, we're going to take another break, and then we'll be right back.
Break?
Yes. Hey, we're back.
Again.
Okay. Now we have transitioned. Hazel's been born. We've been breastfeeding for a few weeks, few days, few months. You have been breastfeeding for a few days, few weeks, few months. Now we're stepping into reality. So, were there times when you thought about stopping breastfeeding? What helped you push through those moments?
I never thought about stopping.
Okay.
I only have thought about stopping recently. She's coming up in 12 months. I've been worried about my supply and stuff like that. There was definitely hard days when I would get sore and I would have to use creams and sprays and the first couple weeks I had to use like those little ice gels in my bra because it is painful and you're going to be sore. Like there shouldn't be like a whole lot of pain, but you will still be sore. You're not used to this happening to your body. You're going to be sore.
Yeah. So never did you think, oh, let's just go to formula?
No.
Okay.
No, never. Recently, just because she's a small girl. She is only 18 pounds. She's a year old. And it gets to me. And of course, I'm a mom, so I worry that she's like too small. It's not like she's underweight. She has... It's not like she's sitting here skin and bones. Obviously, she's not. She's got chunky legs. She's got rolls. She's got a belly. She has rolls. It's not like she's underweight. You can't see her ribs. You can't see any of her bones. She's just small. She's only but when people ask me how old she is and I tell her and they gasp because they can't believe how small she is, like that stuff really bothers me. And because I'm the one who is giving her the nutrients to grow, so of course it's going to bother me. And so when I figured out that that my supply might be a little bit lower. And then I was like, well, what do I do? You know, do I stop? Do I give her a formula to make her gain some weight? You know, but what helped me is my best friend. She told me. She helps me because, like I said, Hazel is not skin and bones. It's not like she's malnutrition. She's just a small baby. She's a girl. Mm-hmm. And
that's what I think.
We're short people. Yeah. Like, how tall are you? 5'7"?
I'd like to say I'm 5'8".
Like, I'm 5'2". Like, we're not big people.
Yeah.
But it's still to this day, I still sit here and have to talk myself off of the ledge when I think about if she's underweight. Or she's not underweight, but if she's small, I mean, she might be underweight. She's in the smaller percentile, mm-hmm. and she's smaller than Everett was. But they're, she's a girl and he was a boy.
Yeah.
And
you're breastfeeding. He was formula fed the exact right amount as often.
That doesn't make me feel any better, though.
Okay.
That makes me feel worse because I know formula he was getting 8 ounces. Mm-hmm. But there is a difference because breast milk gets higher in fat and content, mm-hmm. or calories, and for breast milk, ounces doesn't equal calories.
Right.
Because it's pretty normal for breastfed babies really only need about 4 to 5 ounces, mm-hmm. for the whole time they're breastfeeding, because your body will bring in more fats and bring in more calories for the baby. And so I always have this, problem that I'm not good enough. So of course I'm going to think that I'm not doing enough for my children, and I've always felt that way. And so yeah,
well,
it bothers me.
I'll say
and
that.
I always am sitting here trying to tell myself that, no, you're doing good. She's fine.
Yeah. The naivete in me just sees this perfect little girl, happy as ever, almost never upset unless her brother takes a toy from her. Yeah. But I would be hard pressed to believe that she's underweight or small. I know everyone.
I mean, she is small, but
what people say, oh, she looks like she's 6 months old or something like that. You talked about.
She does. She is the same weight as 6 months old. 6 month olds. I don't know. I still worry about it. So
we'll continue these questions, but she's happy. I'm happy.
I know. That's what I tell myself. She's not like she's sitting here screaming for milk all the time. Yeah. She's not. I don't know. She's happy. She's developing the way she's supposed to.
She is. She's walking now.
She's not behind.
Walking somewhat.
Yeah. She's not walking all the time, but she has taken quite a few steps.
Yeah. Now, let's talk bonding experience, if you'd like, or we can come back to that.
If that's what's next, yeah.
So, how do you feel breastfeeding has affected your bond between you and Hazel?
I feel almost guilty of the bond that we have because I don't feel like I ever got that with Everett. And it sucks. And I feel like even to this day, there's a difference in his bond with me. And I feel like I made up for it a little bit by being a stay-at-home mom. But the beginning days and the first year of their life is so important. Yeah. And if I could do it over again, I would do it over again.
Sure.
Yeah. Like I said, it's one of my biggest regrets in life. So, but my bond with Hazel is amazing.
Yeah.
She, I don't know, I always felt like Everett didn't prefer me. And he preferred you. And it freaking broke my heart all the time. And Hazel prefers me. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, there's a lot of complicated feelings that come with that, but
yeah.
But the bond is definitely there. It's.
Do you think it is the breastfeeding? That's what the main contributor to this?
I don't know. There's just something like literally she is getting her everything. Like her survival is dependent on me.
Yeah.
And I have put like this ultimate faith in God that He is going to help my body to produce, that He's made my body to sustain her life. And I think with Everett, it was like I was young and I didn't have like the support because of 2020 and I was working.
Yeah.
And not to say that working moms are bad, because it's not, but like I just don't feel like I ever had that time to like form
Everett
that
was in
special
daycare.
bond. Yeah. To like form that special bond with him. But like you got to bond with him more than I feel like. What's your take on the difference between your bond with Everett and your bond with Hazel? Because with Everett you got to help in feeding him like a lot, and like with Hazel you don't ever get to feed her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for me, Everett and I are very close. We are very, very close. I worry about, since she's been born, the, like, spreading my love between them.
Yeah.
I think Hazel and I have a pretty good bond. I think Everett and I have a stronger bond than Hazel.
What about in the beginning?
For Everett or for Hazel?
Did you feel a difference between them two in the beginning? Because I feel like recently, since she's more, she's got a personality now. Like she has like her daddy time, and like she loves you. But like in the beginning, did you feel a difference in the way that you like had bonded with Everett when he was a newborn and her?
Yeah, I think. I mean, because I had more time with Everett. Like when you have Hazel, and it's like you're feeding her, and I can't. There's nothing that I could do to warm up the bottle, warm up your nipple, or whatever.
Hey, you said the word first. I've been trying not to say it.
Yeah, I mean, he and we have such a close relationship, and I've been failing lately about that, but. Yeah, I think he and I have a closer bond because of the time that he and I got to spend together when he was so young. With Hazel...
Because when he was a baby, you were still working, like, Office Depot, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you weren't working...
I was able to take him to...
Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Like, you were... Well, 8 to 5. You had, like... I mean, I remember there were days where you didn't work during the week, so you kept him home. Yeah, and we play all the time. And yeah, that was my... Yeah, I would take him to daycare, and then I would go to work. Yeah, he loves his daddy time, and Hazel loves her daddy time too. But certainly, feeding is so important. Like that. Yeah, Everett and I have a pretty strong bond because when I was formula feeding him. Yeah. So with that. How do you feel supported or unsupported by me during this journey? Is there anything that you need more of? No, I feel I do feel and have felt very supported by you. You've always kind of went by what I was saying, what I was feeling. Like in the beginning, I remember she always had her hands in her face. So like literally it would take 4 hands to get her attached, and you'd have to help me. And in the beginning when if I had to breastfeed like around people, you would always like help me get situated.
I'd hold the cover or whatever.
Yeah, because it would take both my hands to get her. No, I felt very supported by you. Anything I needed more of? No, not really.
I think
I always use more praise, but
you
did great at that too.
Well, you get a whole episode of our podcast. No, I think the sleeping is something that I've tried to work on. I sleep too. I sleep all the time. I sleep as soon as I hit the pillow. But what I meant by that was when you needed to sleep, and I could.
And yeah, I know what you're saying, because there's always, there's times when I was so exhausted that I would get angry with you, but there was nothing you could do. You tried and you just couldn't do it. And like deep down, I wasn't angry at you. I was just so tired, and I just, my anger just comes out. I was postpartum. My hormones were crazy, and when you're a breastfeeding mom and you're up 4 times a night, and you just look over at your sleeping husband, and then he wakes up and talks about how tired he is. Like something just triggers you, And like to this day, I'm still up. And like now, she ends up in our bed at some point. So it's not like, I do still wake up every 2 hours pretty much, but it's not like a big wake up for me. It's mostly just wake up, get situated, get her latched on, and then I can pretty much fall back asleep, because she will eventually unlatch and like roll her head over. Yeah. But it's still exhausting that like I look at the clock so many times during the night, and it's like 11:30, 1:30, 3:30, 5:30. Now it's time to get up and get everybody ready for school. I'm still tired all the time, and yet I still am awake until like 12 or 1 because just that you just need that time to be by myself, and not have someone who wants me to pick them up or feed them,
or kiss them like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
but like, I mean, I think every set of parents goes through that. Even when you were helping me feed Everett, like we still argued in the middle of the night, because it's just, you're exhausted, and you don't think about what you're saying before you say it. And
I think I made a lot of bottles in the middle of the night, didn't I?
Well, we both did, because he didn't sleep well either.
Yeah.
I mean, he went through a stint of waking up every 40 minutes and like wanting more bottle, and he'd only like eat a little bit.
Yeah, then we'd waste that formula, and that was
we wasted so much formula. That's another pro. You don't waste any. I mean, you do sometimes if you're pumping, you might end up wasting milk, but
yeah.
But like
you and I guess we might have missed this in the beginning, but you are exclusively breastfeeding.
Exclusively nursing is what I say. Because pumping is still breastfeeding.
Right, but. Sorry, yeah. And there was, there's been
I did not pump at all. I went through a stage where I did pump, and that was because I was trying to build up this freezer stash, but it just, it was hard. And I really don't know how these women breastfeed and pump
and work
and it's.
I didn't mean it.
It's so much.
And work.
And like even if you're exclusively pumping, like pumping is so hard, and pumping is nothing like actually nursing, because like. Your body responds differently. Yeah. Your body responds differently to a pump than it will a child. So that's why, like, even when I pumped, I would get 4 ounces. And, like, now I tried to pump recently-ish to see, like, what my supply was, and I got barely anything. But I'm not, like, taking that as gold because, like...
She's being fed.
Maybe my body hasn't been pumping for months.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just like, what the heck is this? This isn't Hazel. Like, and I can hear her swallow. I see the milk come out of her mouth. Sometimes I'm still leaking everywhere. So, but.
Yeah, there's only well, we were talking about support from me, and there was one time. Maybe in the year. Oh, that's interesting. There have been a few times where you've had milk. She's had a bottle, like at church or.
Yeah. So for a while when I was pumping, I think I pumped for like 1 or 2 months, maybe.
But that was like
2-3 months.
Was that the first 3 months of her life, or is that a little break?
No, I think. I mean, it's definitely when she was young, because We used to give her one bottle.
Oh yeah, before
at
bed.
Night.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And because I had originally thought, well, I want somebody to be able to watch her and give her a bottle if needed.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would give her one bottle a day just to have her used to it. And like I said, pumping's just hard, and I just didn't want to put the effort into it. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, so don't really need to. And I don't have an oversupply, so I don't want to take away from her. I don't want to feed my freezer. I want to feed my baby. Well, I didn't make that up. I've seen that before, but so I didn't want to take away from her when I don't. It's not like I have an oversupply of milk. It's not like I'm feeding her and still feeling full. Like that wasn't the case. And so I just decided that I was going to make the sacrifice that for the first year of her life, I wasn't going to leave her. And I've only left her twice. The first time was a catastrophe. The second time was okay. She did have a bottle then, but that was when I was pumping before. But after those times, I made the decision that I wasn't going to leave her. And we left her for 2 hours, 2 or 3 hours,
like 2
on your
weeks
birthday.
ago.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. So, but I just made that decision, and I'm okay with that sacrifice.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit later about mom guilt, because obviously as dad, I don't understand that. What advice would you give moms who set breastfeeding goals, but find their journey doesn't go as planned?
Well, my first piece of advice is to keep going. To find a really good lactation consultant. To find or have a community of people who have breastfed. Just someone you can talk to about what's normal or what they went through. And really just having that support system and of people who know what you're going through, what you're doing. And if the journey doesn't go as planned, then I would just say not to beat yourself up and not to think lowly of yourself. As long as you tried your best and then, you just do what's right for your baby. That's all that matters.
Right. Yeah. We did have to take a few breaks here. You're fresh off breastfeeding, so we're winding down here. We'll move into experience. One thing that I know you have thought about a lot and done a fair bit, breastfeeding in public. What's been your experience breastfeeding in public spaces? Have your feelings changed since before?
I am all for breastfeeding in public. I mean, you have to do what you have to do. I think that it's gross if anybody judges you for that. That's just gross.
That's good.
For me personally, I am of a bigger size, so it's not as easy for me to cover. Like I have to think so much about my outfits. And like just thinking of different like creative ways, because I try to use like, if your baby will let you just use one of those little nursing covers and that makes you feel comfortable, that's great. My baby did not let me use those. I tried when she was a newborn. She hated them. She didn't eat well. She fought them the whole time. She tried to pull it off. She didn't like it. So I've had to get creative, but I think I'm pretty good at keeping myself covered for the amount of area that I have to keep covered. So for me, it is sometimes, honestly, like depending on my outfit and like who we're around and stuff, I honestly just feel more comfortable like going to my car and doing it or something. Or going into another room.
You have been doing that a lot, going to the car.
Yeah, it's just if it's around like if there's a lot of men around. Personally, for me, if you feel comfortable doing that, I applaud you. personally for me, I might feel a little bit uncomfortable if there's a lot of men around, or like just like certain men that I just don't feel comfortable trying to situate myself around. So I'd say, I mean, mostly it's just it's a lot of like family events that I have to breastfeed at.
We do spend a lot of time with our families.
I mean, I've fed in the restaurants before, but not too often, especially now that she's eating solid food. I just feed her regular food, but I have done that before. It's just a hassle when you can't just take your shirt off. It's so much easier to just take your shirt off and do it. But yeah. So, has my feelings about it changed? No. I mean, I was always for it. I think maybe sometimes I'm a little bit more confident because I've found the way to like feel comfortable and like keep that discreetness. But yeah, I'm obviously for it. I mean, I don't know why anybody would be against it. But yeah, sometimes I just feel more comfortable being by myself. Yeah. You know, going to my car or whatever. But yeah.
Good. I like that. So what were some specific, or were there any specific milestones that made you realize you were on track to meet your goal of 1 year breastfeeding?
I guess just the fact that she was gaining weight. You know, nobody was questioning me. The doctors stopped questioning me. You know.
When was her last appointment?
When she was 9 months old, but I think she was more towards the 10-month mark. So. She doesn't have she doesn't have another appointment until November. So
yeah,
but yeah, and that she was happy. She wasn't like acting like she was starving all the time. I mean, she eats more often than I would say like an average 12-month-old would nurse, maybe.
It's a lot of comfort for her, I imagine.
But also, I'm home with her all the time, so it's not like she can just have whenever she wants. So it's most of the time it's just at night is when a majority of her nursing is. Before her morning nap, she has to have it to go to sleep. I mean, she has to. She will not go to sleep without it unless she's in the car. And like maybe once or twice in between just depending on like where we're at and stuff. But yeah, I guess that we were doing it, you know. I wasn't having many problems. So.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you for making it this far. Do you think, and we might talk about this, but do you think how long do you think you'll go?
Don't you have a question about that?
We'll come back to that.
Okay, yeah.
Now, do you ever experience any mom guilt or pressure from others about breastfeeding? How do you handle it? Now, you'll have to explain this mom guilt to me, because I don't...
It's just... Mom guilt is just guilt that moms feel over things that, like, dads probably wouldn't feel. Like, if I asked if I could go to a hair appointment, then I might feel mom guilt because I'm not home. You know, or if I mean, I don't do anything, so I don't have... like, I don't ever go get my hair done or anything like that. So, I don't know. It's just like the guilt of, am I a bad mom because I chose to do this for myself or something like that.
Okay. Do you ever experience that?
Mom guilt? Mom guilt? I mean, yeah. I mean, I experience a lot of more guilt of like, guilt of how I handled a situation. Something like that. Like I said, I don't really go anywhere, and everywhere I go, my kids are with me. Pressure from others about breastfeeding.
I'd say probably maybe in
I
the
think
beginning.
I am beginning to get more questions about weaning since she's coming on 1 year.
Yeah.
And like people are asking me like if I'm gonna stop breastfeeding and stuff like that. I guess people just more expect it now that she's 1. They don't expect her to still be breastfeeding.
Yeah, I don't know.
Honestly, the only pressure I feel is like seeing other people my age who have kids that can leave their kids to go do something, and I can't. Or like, yeah, just that. Like, I don't really. I couldn't like go out to dinner. That would be mom guilt. Yeah, can't just be like, hey, I'd like to go catch dinner with my friend or my mom. Can you watch the kids? Like, that's just not gonna happen for me. Like, it probably could now, but like before, I definitely couldn't just go anywhere without her.
Sure, that's fair. I appreciate all you do, and I appreciate that answer. That's it's good. Dad guilt is whatever. It doesn't matter. Would you have done anything differently with your breastfeeding experience? This could be from anything. This could be from your birth plan. This could be from more pumping. This could be anything. Would you have done anything differently?
I don't think so. I mean, I could have pumped more, but it's not like something that I regret. Like, I don't regret not pumping. But I guess I could have put in the effort if I really wanted to have more of like a freezer stash. I don't really know. No, not really. I've enjoyed it. So.
Cool. Yeah. I think you have every right to enjoy what you've done so far. And as you near the end of your goal, which is 1 year, like everyone's been asking you, I'll ask you as well. What are you thinking about weaning? How are you going to do that? How long are you planning to actually breastfeed? I know you've talked about like maybe 18 months, something like that.
Yeah, so
how are you preparing for that?
I need to prepare. I think I need to prepare my mind more than my body. I think my body is getting to the point of me needing to think about weaning, maybe.
You said your mind over your body?
Yeah. Because, like, it's going to be hard. She definitely relies on it, especially for sleep. Sleep is going to be really hard. Now, I am not opposed to only nursing at night for sleep.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I think about Everett had a bottle until he was 3 years old to go to sleep.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, he could not let that bottle go just for sleep, but he needed to go to sleep. And so I'm fine with that. I'm only giving myself like small goals. Since I hit my 12-month goal, I would like to go to 18 months. But we are, we're trying to push solids more and try to get her more of eating real food. So I just know that it's going to be a hard wean. I'm just not looking forward to nighttime trying to tell her no. It's because she's never gone to sleep. The only time she has ever gone to sleep without nursing is in the car or with your mom. And I think your mom she cries a lot and then she goes to sleep.
Right.
And
she's bundled up in a lot of blankets.
Yeah. I mean, at church, she went to sleep. She went to sleep with
another
nursery worker. And I think she was just so tired that she just fell asleep. But I don't know. I think it's going to be hard, honestly. I really do. And I'm going to miss it. And if we don't have any more kids, it's going to be sad that I only got to do this once,
If we don't have any more. Yeah.
How am I? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not preparing.
She's been eating solids now.
Yeah, just pushing more solids and
what is it? Solids before 1 is just for fun.
Food before 1 is just for fun. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just know it's going to be hard. And I'm just not. Like, I don't really want to force a wean, you know? I would like for her to gradually wean. But at the same time, with the way that she sleeps, I'm afraid that she probably will be, 3, and I'm having to tell her no.
Nice.
Not that there's anything wrong with doing it until 3 years old,
Yeah.
because like I said, I never had a bottle till 3 years old, so.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard.
I just wonder how many years until I get to sleep through the night.
That's true. Yeah, Dad over here gets to sleep. We're going on
year 4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was pregnant, I didn't sleep through the night either. So.
Yeah. But that's it. That's all of our questions. We thank you guys so much for listening. We are just going to take one more quick little break before we finish up with the wow moment. Hopefully you won't get any ads in between. We're going to take a little break. Be right back. Word of the week.
Oh gosh, you
don't like
do
it?
it well.
Okay, you do it again.
You didn't do it like me. It's now time for our wow moment. Word of the week. Word of the week. John 10:10 was our word this week.
Yes, ma'am. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. What did you think about that?
Well, I think about this verse often because I am someone who struggles with mental health issues. I have struggled with depression. My anxiety is awful right now. So, yeah, just remembering that I believe that mental illness comes from the devil and from the evil one. So just remember that's literally, I wanted to read my John 10:10.
Please.
The thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy. My purpose is to give them a rich and satisfying life.
Sheesh.
Yeah, the thief and Satan is, his literal whole purpose is to steal and kill and destroy any goodness, any joy. And I just feel like I let him do it all the time. And still, as an almost 30-year-old woman, I still struggle with it a lot.
I don't think that's... Struggle with what exactly?
With just letting it happen. Like, I just let this darkness come over me all the time, where I just don't feel motivated and I don't feel joy. We're getting too real. I'm too tired. I'm getting too real.
No,
so just try to remember that. That's not of God.
Yeah, this is an awesome verse. This
the thief.
Just think about the world is just there to beat you down, just tear you down. And God and Jesus are there just to give you life and have it abundantly. What's interesting is we did this verse, John 10:10, and then immediately Sunday come in and read John 10, almost the entirety.
Yeah.
It's great. Good stuff. Now, with the wow moment, we have the word of the week and the
worship of the week. Worship of the week. You're messing up your claps, man.
Yeah. All right, mine is Plead the Blood. Chris Davenport, Brandon Lake, Cody Carnes.
Great song.
Oh my gosh, so good.
Plead the blood.
Yeah. Yup.
I plead the blood.
It's a great song. It's, if you know the By His Wounds song, By His Wounds We Are Healed, this is just another of that, and it is just really good. Just really good stuff. Now yours, I'm excited about yours.
Mine is, do you know the song? Because I just found it tonight.
No, I'm excited about it. I like this
I didn't know.
Josiah Queen
Yeah,
fella.
so it's another Josiah Queen song, and it's called Who I Was. I mean, all of the lyrics are so good, but let me just find something that might stand out to me. So, like, the chorus says... goodness.
I'll try to give you guys some Bible page flipping.
It's like, I found grace and I found love. I found hope on a wooden cross. By your pain and by your blood, who I am ain't who I was.
Man, we are just...
All the money in the world couldn't buy me grace like your blood bought it for me on that day.
Oh, yeah, we listened to that earlier.
But I found the key in... Oh, wait. Yeah. Like a blood-stained cross on Calvary did, I was chained down, weighed down in my debt, but I found the key in nail-scarred hands. It's a really good song.
That's really good. Now that's your worship of the week.
Yeah.
Now next week, prepare your hearts and your
minds. We're going to be in the book of Psalms.
Psalm 139, verse 7. This is a psalm of David for the choir director. Where can I go from your spirit, or where can I flee from your presence? We could just keep going because, man, that's good.
You don't know when to stop.
I just stopped.
I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence.
Mm-hmm. There are a bunch of
Next week we'll have to talk about all the worship songs that say that.
Yeah, there are a bunch of great worship songs that use that. It's good stuff. Psalm 139, verse 7. That's it, y'all.
Thank you guys for joining us today.
We're so grateful for your support, and we cannot wait to continue this journey together.
Until next time, remember that Jesus loves you right in the middle of your mess, and so do we.
So do we.
Bye.
Goodbye. If you can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, and Threads. Like and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.